All right, I think we're good to get started here with our webinar today, Unveiling the Revizto Impact, where Chris will talk about the way EDIS breaks down the platform's ROI on his business. But before we jump into it, quick agenda for today. I'll go over some housekeeping items for this webinar. Chris and I will do some introductions, and then he will dive into how he calculates Revizto's real impact on project costs and time savings, the tangible benefits of streamlined project coordination with Revizto, the importance of using Revizto in both pre-design and coordination phases, and at the end, we'll answer some questions. For housekeeping, this webinar is recorded and the link will be sent out tomorrow in a follow-up email for all those that are registered. Use the chat today to engage with Chris and myself so that we can have some back and forth throughout this webinar. And any questions that you submit through the chat, we'll answer at the end. We'll also feature a few polls throughout this presentation, so please participate. We'd love to hear your feedback. And to stay up to date with future webinars and events, follow Revizto on LinkedIn. Quick introduction of myself. My name is John McCurdy. I'm a territory sales executive for Revizto. My job is to support our clients throughout the Mid-Atlantic, and I've been working with Chris for just about 2 years now. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. My name is Chris Donahue. I'm a director of VDC and BIM here. We branched off to a division called AMP to kind of work on our own since the clientele is working out. But my name is Chris Donahue. 8 years as a director of BIM modeling and coordination at EDIS. I lead a BIM team leveraging emerging technologies for improving project outcomes and cost savings as the main point of the contact at EDiS BIM Services, and basically the team's expertise and extensive construction knowledge is basically myself, and I solve a lot of project challenges and foster seamless integration and innovation for practical experience and project execution. And then pre-BIM, we estimate that it took around 3.5 months to coordinate a $20 million job amongst the entire team, including subcontractors with BIM and Revizto. We coordinated this job in less than half the time. So that's kind of how we'll go through my part of the project. We'll focus on a $20 million job. I have some recent things that we finished up lately, and we'll talk about them too and kind of show you the benefits throughout that. And we also have a baseline of how much work in the past 5 years that we've done with Revizto, and it's a staggering number as far as construction costs. It's a staggering number of savings, and basically reducing construction schedule overall. So thanks, John.
Yeah, this is an exciting one. I'm eager to get into it, Chris, and see the numbers that you've drummed up. But before we jump right into your slides, we're going to do a quick poll to gauge all the attendees to see who has used Revizto before. The responses are pouring in. Chris, can you see these?
I don't see the responses. I see the question. There we go. Oh, good. Yeah, some people we can transform, John.
Yeah, so my results are showing like a third are no, never used Revizto before.
Right.
Third, claim to be advanced users. And then the final third are intermediate or beginners.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah, so with that, I think it makes sense to do a quick introduction to the tool. Right off the bat, Revizto's an integrated collaboration platform that uniquely brings together 3D and 2D information and makes this data accessible to anybody, regardless of what their technical skill level is. With the ability to have your drawings, models, markups, issue tracking, reporting, all in the same space, Revizto provides use cases for nearly anyone on a project. This increases overall data and communication transparency and creates a more self-sufficient and productive workflow. With the added interoperability, Revizto becomes the depository of all depositories on your projects. It doesn't matter which tools each stakeholder wants to use. Revizto allows all of these teams to work together in one non-destructible environment with all the context that they will ever need to track issues and get the job completed on time, and in Chris's case, under budget. So without further ado, passing it over to Chris Donahue.
Hey, thank you, John. And the tools there for Revizto are spot on. It's so helpful, seamless to use. So basically today, we came up with, how do we share our savings, and we figured the magic touch really is what it is. My background experience in the construction world and design world is over 20 years, and you always foster and you fight around the whole coordination. It's one of the hardest parts of a project is coordinating all your trades and contractors. So 5 years ago, bring on Revizto, and it's just, we created this magic touch on our jobs. Things just started going smoother. Construction schedules started, shortening, and basically the proof of the savings of utilizing BIM. And one of the main reasons this whole slide and this whole presentation came about was, we go to a lot of presentations, they talk about BIM, they talk about the advantages, but nobody really hones in on, wow, I did save money. This is how much money I saved. This is how much time I saved. This is what it eliminated from my old way, new way kind of thing. So what I did was, we kind of crunch numbers as we coordinate, and we came up with a lot of good things here to share. So magic touch. Just a little bit of background, how we know construction really well. It's the EDiS, company introduction into construction technology. And 1908, Presto Ernesto came over from Italy. He created a mason company, and we started building buildings for over 100 years of stone buildings revolved into half stone buildings and the steel buildings. And just as a general contractor, we developed that presence in America and in Delaware, just building a lot of buildings. Fast forward to 2009. It's the first major capital project in BIM that was required, and EDiS hired a third party, and that was me. So 2009 is when I joined up as a BIM coordinator for EDiS company on their major capital jobs. In 2014, EDiS basically started a new department. I was hired on as a full-time employee. I started that new department 2014, like I said, and it just kind of keeps growing every year as we get more of an expertise of what we're doing. So in 2015, I hired my first staff member, Dave Schaefer, and it was off to the races. After that, we focused on networking, we focused on marketing, we focused on growing the company, and from 2015 to 2019, we hired a new staff member each time. And then, we got the knock on the door 2019 from Revizto, and showing those guys that came in, and I said, Pat, and hey, we have something to share with you. And ever since then, it's been a magic touch for our projects. We bought into it from the beginning. We ran a quick example on a project, and we saw the stumble blocks that take place through other softwares that take forever to resolve an issue. Revizto was just right on top of that acknowledgement of, let's solve this issue and get it done. So that was kind of how the fruition of Magic Touch started to work. 2021, we focused on the BIM payback, and that's going to be something I talk about here on a project where, once we use the magic touch of Revizto on jobs, it was like, well, how have we changed, and what's the payback? Is there a payback? Is there a ROI? And the study found some astonishing, dollar figures there. So that's something that's going to be really cool to see. 2022 basically established repeat efficiencies because of Revizto and BIM efforts. So we not only found ROI that worked, and then it just started to repeat itself, right? So that's 2021 into basically 2023, 2024, showing more repeat information. So we have data from 2021 that we're going to share in this presentation, and data from projects that just finished up, open the doors in 2024. So that's kind of the history of where everything started. It started with basically hammers and chisels, and here we have computers, technology, internet, Wi-Fi, guys walking around the job site with Revizto on their iPads and their phone, and it's just really astonishing to see maybe how fast we could have built projects back in 1908 if we used the software. So thanks, John. So what is the Kennett Library Project? It was a nonprofit project. That project was funded basically by private money and 100% donation work. Examples of BIM savings for the project: it's a new nonprofit construction. Overall project budget was 20 million plus or minus. It's all nonprofit. Like I said, actual square footage was 34,230 square feet. Shortfall of roughly $6 million back in 2022. So when we broke ground, we were still searching for money on the job. So here's just, the roundabout, how did Revizto help, the Kennett Library project? And basically, we started out on the Kennett Library project by doing a model check and coordination impact during pre-design, basically DD and CDs. Reducing the project change order rates is basically the outcome of the process of the model check using Revizto. And so what we show here is the overall impact of back in 2009. If you guys remember, that's their first capital projects. EDiS to do a BIM project was 2009, and the data and change order rates in 2009 for a job with no BIM workflow or anything like that, you're at 5.5%. And then as the jobs continued through the coordination efforts and my efforts, the change order rates started to die, and you're down to like 3.5% in 2014. As I started honing the skills with our subcontractors in our area and with the design teams, we started to dive a little deeper at 3% 2015. And then as the company evolved and became more proficient in BIM, we got down to like 1.5% in 2017, kind of drop a little bit more in 2019. And then 2021 is a major hit in a positive way because of improving that workflow and implementing the Revizto software. So kind of getting to 2023, the result of this project was 0.2%. So it was really low. Our change orders are so low on the project. Everybody was kind of astonished. But so this is 3 years worth of data using the workflows from BIM. I'm not going to talk about the softwares I used before, but we took a change order rate at 1.25% to be consistent. And the funny part is, going from 2019 to 2024, we're flirting around with basically a 0.4% change order rate, not 4% change order rate, but 0.4%. So it's a huge money savings, overall impact on this job, just off the bat to go from 1.25 down to the 0.2% was $250,000. So when you're thinking about how do you get money back on a job? This put $250,000 back into the project budget, which is pretty impressive. The Kennett Library's pre-construction savings. So we did a model check like I was talking about, and I'm not sure who's on the line here today understands the model check, but you know, as the design team goes through and as you're on board as a CM agent or a consultant to do coordination work, you know, you look at the deliverable, you look at a 2D document, and then you look at the 3D documents. And the 3D technology, as you go through the coordination process, you can see errors in their construction. So by using Revizto, we basically said, you know what, why don't we try the Revizto process in the model check. Let's do the layover, the construction documents. Let's just do it for this job, and let's see how it works. So Carrie and I, we another guy that works on my team, we took the job, put it together in about an hour and a half. We ran the results, you know, clash detections, our issue tracker, and we found 6,100 clashes in about an hour of doing this model check. And what we did is we had a huge company meeting, and people were looking at the drawings 2D. We looked at it 3D, and we found 284 issues basically through the model check that really weren't found on the 2D world. All the issues were architectural, structural, roof style, storm piping, ceiling design issues, mechanical piping, duct, electrical, and value engineering roofing. That saved the job about $556,000. So the value engineer roofing was basically because of the things that we found through design coordination that we were able to eliminate. So you have the errors. I'll get down to the nitty-gritty how I come up with $220,000 in savings for the errors. And then the value of roofing was, the roof was designed to be flat. We had a lot of roof drains, a lot of vertical, chases and risers going through the library. Really wasn't going to work for the space. So by eliminating all the vertical risers, changing up the roof drains, sloping the steel, and doing some value engineering steel there, we were able to eliminate a lot of the cricket insulation on the job. And at the time when we built this job and put it out the bid, polyiso insulation was really expensive to buy. And what we were able to do is really reduce the amount of insulation down to like about a quarter of what was required. So the cost of the insulation was up, the cost of steel was up, everything was escalated right in the pandemic time when this job was bid out. So in all, $776,000 in savings, and really to pull the information together in an hour is a huge savings. And what happens is the information that we found by using Revizto was very it was believable to the design team. So the design team received the report, they were able to dive in, see the issues that we had, and were able to basically buy into what we were saying that they needed to fix and things that we needed to value engineer. So it's a holistic approach by using this software versus just saying, hey, there's a clash, we need to fix it. It's transparent throughout the whole team.
Good point, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to our next poll.
Yeah, so the poll, kind of right now, I think this is the change order one, right? And just who sits back and calculates your ROI during the coordination process and how it impacts your change order is really our question today. Yes, you do. No, you don't. I don't know where to start. And then basically we outsource a lot of that offering. So, just kind of give us a little bit of feedback. So the no's are heavy, and is it the no of you don't do BIM, or is it no, you actually don't do the ROI check on your BIM? Just my thought, I guess you could read it a couple different ways, but since it's so heavy on the no, I mean, you'll see how we kind of break this down, and if you have a process here of BIM, you'll see how you're burning time, burning money. And if you switch over and start using Revizto and the new technology, how you'll start to gain that money and time back in your pocket. So thanks.
I
Thank you.
don't know if these results are going through to all attendees, but we're seeing 90% at no, or I don't know where to start for our responses, where got 10% of attendees are saying yes. So really heavily weighted on the no side.
That's one of the reasons why they're here, right? So, well, hopefully we can teach them up something. So, we'll just take an example. Like I said, we're working on the Kennett Library project. Similar jobs. I mean, we build a lot of $20 million jobs, $30 million jobs. And we always said, hey, let's try to get it done in 3 months. And a lot of times the traditional method, it took 3.5 months, 4 months. They drug on, depending on your contractors that you have involved, the participation, the knowledge base of them. Sometimes it's 6 months, right? Design team, errors or whatever. So what we found by the Revizto method is great. We did this job in a month and a half, and you think, well, okay, it's a month and a half. How much time do you spend during, the pre-design? And like I said, we spent, say Carrie and I's time, it took an hour. So say 2 hours. Now we issued the reports in simple couple minutes in the Revizto project, software there, and kicked it out. So right there, you guys can see there's a huge labor savings because every trade, you're seeing basically we cut that time in half, so it's kind of gives you a warm fuzzy, you get a little, sometimes you get a little goosebumps when you start looking at the numbers, because my goal from people that talk to me in my direction is this has to get it done. And now that we use the software, everybody, that pressure of getting it done is sort of off, that monkey's off my shoulder, right? So everybody sees the project, or it's transparent, everybody sees the issue. So it's a great solution. And this method here was derived by 5 projects before the library. So this whole method and the timeline is the same from the first 5. Every job, first 5 jobs we used it on, we cut our coordination time in half. So here's your traditional coordination and the savings because of it. So just clocks, right? Everybody's clocks running, everybody's making phone calls, sending emails and things like that. And what we found was we reduced construction labor, we reduced time spent on VDC issues, minimized research on drawing review. We basically improved the clash resolution time, values totals from all trades involved. So what the next slide you'll see is basically how we derive, all the savings from the trades. And, we basically said, how does the workflow and BIM, like before Revizto, like what were we doing, right? And everybody knows, you get an email, you review a doc, you share with the team, you have meetings. A lot of the above line there turns into an RFI that gets sent out to somebody, model sharing, coordination, clash review, using the old method. And then you have to review, you got to find a solution, you have to notify everybody of the solution. And by utilizing the Revizto platform, everybody's in that same platform every day. You can go in and see what is going on. And what that does is, you issue one issue through Revizto and it's quick, goes to everybody. The top line of the issues, you don't have to go searching for documents. The documents are in the Revizto software loaded in already. So when you hold a meeting, you pull everything together in really a short period of time. We felt that it's 8.5 hours roughly average. It's $1,000 an issue. So when you find a major issue, you got to talk about, make phone calls and things. We felt it's about $1,000. So $986. And then you take the next slide, basically going into how we feel the time is reduced. We feel like we reduced the coordination workflow time per issue down to 1.75 hours. The cost we feel is about $214 an issue. So when you look at the numbers, you have a previous coordination issue number, say the 465 issues created about $458,000. And, you know, we've lived jobs. I've worked in this field for a long time, and I've seen change orders, $30,000 and things like that, and issues, and, you know, everything just starts piling up, and that number, it could be more. And you know, we kind of were real lenient on it. And, you know, some of those issues could actually expand and be more money, but by using the Revizto software, we feel like the magnitude of the issue can still be resolved in the same amount of time, we feel. So the new Revizto coordination time per issue, so you have the $214,000 per issue on this job. We feel like that cost is around $99,000 with 465 issues. And basically, when you do the math, you're putting back in your pocket the $358,000 by taking away the 99. So basically, you know, the numbers here are starting to stack up, right? So it's just not one thing in the coordination world and building a building that really saves money. It's, we looked at the holistic picture. By looking at the holistic picture, and you know, Revizto, we used it from pre-design all the way to the end of the job, and that's really unheard of on a project where the software is successful from start to finish, and it's a successful software that you hit the buttons a couple times and you get the resolutions and the solutions that you need. So you're saving time so much. And this is just a little bit of history on how we generated just some more money. So here's the total savings using the BIM and VDC method. And we talked earlier about the pre-construction cost, the $776,000 roughly, reduction in coordination workflow time. You know, we just talked about that. It's $358,928. Construction coordination, the CM, you know, it costs time for a month and a half of labor. We figured that out. It's $37,000. Construction coordination trade savings. So every trade, we just said, hey, you know, this is the amount of hours that we feel like took place on the trade side. This is how much it costs per hour. And that's what you have there when you see the delta of what it would have been and what it was. And then we figured it's $211,000. And at 1.25% change order reduction. So when you looked at that chart that I had up, you know, we were kind of hovering around the 1.25% before Revizto. On this job, we took it down to that 0.2%, 0.02% there, and you know, saved another $250,000 off the top. So all in all, the job back in everybody's pocket. This isn't really counting schedule, but the project opened on schedule and everything like that is $1.6 million in savings. And then basically, you know, what would 8% look like on your project is just a quote. And, you know, basically the overall contribution and fundraising is $6 million, and who wouldn't want that? That's priceless, right? So what the cool part about this job was we utilized the Revizto during fundraising events. And, you know, I was talking about we had a shortfall on projects, and basically we helped raise money. We put the Revizto program into the Oculus. We handed it out to the board members of the library. They shared that library with you know, different people. Lauren, you see in the picture there, she works with us, and you know, she was instrumental with, you know, loading that software up on a headset and showing everybody how to use it and just basically painting a picture of this is the project that we have. And through this fundraising, process, we were able to generate a lot of funds, private funds for the project. And, I don't really know the totals of it, but you take the $1.6 million we put back in the budget, and then you subtract from that shortfall. And after a lot of our fundraising events, everybody said, "Hey, look, I'll mail you a check and you have it on Monday, or drop it off on Monday." It's a nice community, and it's just really, really a beautiful, priceless process, and utilized Revizto, and it's just for the amount that we invested in Revizto and the amount we invested in the time that it took to do the reviews and stuff, it's just really nothing when you look at what the project gained. So I've made a lot of believers on our team and through the construction side of what we're doing to make buildings better. So just to kind of go through just a little bit more background of current projects, kind of give you a little bit of history of Revizto projects over the past 5 years. And we have finished 42 projects using Revizto in the past 5 years. Our first year out of the gate, we used it on 4 projects, second year 5, third year 11. Year 4 was a little slow on our side, not because of Revizto or anything, it just we were a little slow. And then year 5 this year, 13 and counting. So, as the construction world's increasing, we feel like by using Revizto, we're able to maybe reduce our labor that's on the job. So it helps with doing more work with less people, because it's not that we're trying to have less people, we just don't have the people. So that's the future of the world anyway. Projects totals and costs. So you're looking at $1.8 billion in work that we've done over the past 5 years. Some contractors, that might just do one job at $2 billion, but that's lucky for them. We have to work hard, make our money, and it's $1.8 billion worth of work that we use Revizto on, and the savings are astonishing. So if you took 8% of that 1.8 billion, you look at all the clients that we have and all the money that we put back on the projects, it's an instrumental method using BIM, using Revizto, and it's a proven solution. Clashes resolved. When we first started using Revizto, they didn't have the clash coordination part built into their software, and when they did, we utilized it, made it useful, and we found that there was 62,000 resolutions to the issues through all the jobs to date. And that's that's an estimate. We what's nice is we just export out a spreadsheet from Revizto, and in that spreadsheet it gives you the date of the job, it gives you anything that's outstanding, anything that's been solved, and the solved solution part is the 62,500. So it's really good. Then the recent project that was completed, we didn't really strike the 0.2% change order rate, but we were pretty damn close. 98,000 square foot project, new project. It was a new school. Overall, project budget was $37 million. That project, through the spreadsheet and things from Revizto that they shared, for the project, is 8,958 total resolved clashes and issues. And it's really important to pay attention to the 8,900 clash issue point there on A, and looking at B, again, the consistent, owner change order rates is 0.4%. So job related stuff, 0.4%. So you're looking at $6 million in overall savings. And I'll say that because we had to take the project and build it 3 months less. And the BIM coordination process allowed for basically that in the inside of that building to pretty much be finished right when the outside of the building was done. So you didn't have the outside of the building and then still have to do the inside. The inside it was built out so fast because of the coordination, because of the experts knowing what they had to build and how to put the Lego pieces together. You know, it was change order rates, reduced schedule, labor savings. So you're looking at a lot of money overall, taxpayer money, put back into the job, put back into the school budget. And, you know, it's just huge. And one, we finished the job when, you know, they asked us to be done. So overall, 3 months ahead of schedule is, we feel like, by how we perfected the BIM world, how we instrumentally and infused Revizto into it, we can build a building. If the client says they want it done in 20, we feel like we can get it done in 3 months, 2 to 3 months faster. How you spread the savings and how you spread the profit, that's a whole nother topic of conversation. I'm not getting that deep in the weeds, but there's a lot of ways to make it work. And then, you know, since 2017, we've been running this data of, you know, how many clashes do we really have on projects? Like, how does it equate to an average? And we feel like every, I think I got a zero there messed up, but every 100,000 square feet is 8,000 clashes. So if you have a job, every time it jumps up another 100,000 square feet, we feel like we have 8,000 clashes, issues that we have to deal with. And it's just something that we run the numbers, and it's just, you know, some jobs are a little bit less per 100,000. Some jobs are a little bit more per 100,000. But that's the evil of it. You know, that's why we do the job, because there's a lot of work to be done. You know, 8,000 issues on 100,000 square feet it's a lot of work, and you have to figure out ways to get that work done efficiently and still save money. So, and I feel like what we have here is a great solution.
That's incredible to hear, Chris, that you're confident you can deliver a project 2 to 3 months ahead of schedule with this process.
Yeah, in the meantime, you share profits, you know, and figure out on private jobs how to do that. And it's, you know, it's a lot of stress to get to that point. You know, there's a lot of work that goes on, and it's just great to see that there's kind of fruit, you know, from that labor, you know. And but it was so hard before the software to even get your hands around the savings, the value, the you know, the real solutions that it work. You kind of felt like you're spinning your wheels a little bit. And here it's just, you know, everybody's in the same platform, everybody sees what's going on, everything's transparent. And it's just, you know, you got, you know, everybody here from Revizto, you guys develop more and more, and, you know, you answer all the questions that we ask you to do to help us out. And that's just, you know, unheard of on the software side. So you guys are always developing and, you know, hopefully, you know, shipping in, reducing our change order rate. So, and that's the end of it, really.
Appreciate the kind words, Chris. This is it's going to be our last poll, I believe.
Yeah.
This poll's regarding your change order rates on your projects.
Yeah. So what do you
Anybody
think
can
the
get
change
close
order
to
rate
Chris.
is on your projects? And, you know, kind of just put in, I mean, if you know it, that's great. Take a guess and just kind of see where you're at the current time. Yeah. So everybody here, so half the field, John McCurdy would love to talk to you about how to get that change order rate down. There's a lot of money to be saved here. You know, I don't know what, as far as the 50%, the size of the jobs that you're working on, things like that, but it's a true BIM, and having Revizto will definitely take that 50% and chew away at it a good bit. Thank you. Thank you for taking that poll. Thank you, John.
Yeah, it seems like we got a couple people that are down in Chris's range under 1%, but for the most part, we're hovering around 3 to 4% or 4 to 5%.
Yeah, the 1%ers, I mean, you know, hopefully they're doing the same stuff, and they relate back to, you know, what I'm talking about. Probably the guys that are using this stuff. So here's just, you know, backup, right? So I went through this whole presentation, and you might scratch your head and you say, hey, you know, what I really saving money. And here's three analysis. You got McGraw-Hill, you got National Institute of Building Sciences, Dodge data. And this is all, 2014, 2018, 2019. And this is all before you had this fancy, Revizto program to use. And they're saying you get 5 to 10%, you get 10 to 30% savings. Um, Dodge data, they're saying, 25, things like that. And, the Kennett Library project, we saved, we'll say 10%, 10%. That was very hard, real money. And, the change order rate was really low. You could probably pull, our team on site, they did good. They created some savings too. So that would jump up your profit savings. But the BIM world profit savings, for the last project I showed you, the school, that is, and it's number 3, Dodge Data Analytics, basically almost 20% in savings overall throughout the entire job. When you factor in cost of shaving that schedule, shaving the time of the job, you're looking at a lot of money saved throughout the duration. So this is just a little proof that the data that you're reading is real, and we figured it out. It's just a great thing there. And one of the things that's great about the Revizto program, John and everybody, we have like a project-based software cost, and everybody on the job gets access into the Revizto program. So nobody's short-sighted on the transparency, and everybody has the ability to, put forth the effort and be part of the savings and the time savings on coordination. So that's, a great asset that not everybody needs a license. You buy the project-based license and everybody gets to use it. So we found that to be very beneficial. This is another part here, kind of a new thing that we've been using for past years. Everybody gets to use the iPad and things like that with the Revizto program. And you can kind of coordinate it inside the building, lock it into where you are, and when you walk through the building, you kind of see the building evolve on the screen. So you're walking through the virtual model on a Wi-Fi, or you have it downloaded, and you're walking through. Maybe the building's not finished yet, but you're looking at the screen, it's finished, and you see what should be around you in the future. And a lot of our superintendents utilize it on projects, and it's extremely helpful with them to foresee where manpower is going to be, and different trades are going to be working, or things that were installed and they weren't supposed to be there. So that's just another benefit by using Revizto. And go ahead and hit play there, John. So just the story is, what would it look like with less $1.6 million on the job? And you wouldn't have a nice auditorium, you wouldn't have had a nice staircase for the project, and within the staircase is a tree of life, all the donors, all the birds, all the things that were added in the tree of life that go 2 stories. So that's it. You're looking at what they gain, the money they gain by basically utilizing this software.
I love that animation.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But it's real. I mean, every job fights with schedule, budget, and every owner wants what they can get. So right now, the way the world's going, you can fulfill their dreams and give them something good. And it's a little bit of investment in the front side. Some people say it's like buying insurance and stuff, the coordination and BIM world. But in this case, it's real money.
That's fine. So I guess this is our last poll.
Yeah, so I think this last poll is, would you like to learn, what would you like to learn more about? And would you like to know more about what you heard today? Yes, you would like to know more about Revizto. Yes, I would like to know more about EDIS. I'm already a user or customer. That's a great one for us to know about. And then just not right now, it could be a choice too. So take the poll, and if you want to hear more about Revizto, John, it will be great to talk to you. And if it's in another part of the world or whatever, he can steer you in the right direction. And it's about EDIS, and we're always here to help. So looks like you have a lot of users there, John.
Yeah, pretty good mix, but a lot of already users, customers sitting in on this one, which is good to see.
Good stuff.
Awesome. That allows us to open it up for question and answer now. Chris, we have got a couple queued up if you want to tackle those. We have Scott asking, were there other factors that contributed to the reduced change order rate? If so, how did you determine the amount impacted by BIM?
Every job has its specific nuances. Sometimes it's a trade partner not participating, and maybe sometimes that creates a higher change order rate. The reality is that since 2019 to 2024, you're looking at a solid span there where a lot of our jobs are finishing in the same change order rate. And, sometimes the projects that have a higher change order rate now is, a pre-design element that we weren't able to be part of. So maybe if a pre-design part isn't really good, it pushes the change order rates up, more time of coordination. But every job, like I said, has its nuance, and every job has the opportunity to push up a change order rate. But I think with the transparency by using the software, it really lets everybody put their arms around a comfort level of what this job is before it's built out of the dirt. Because nothing is, everybody here, as you walk out to the job, you don't know much about construction, and you see dirt on the ground, your anxiety goes way up. It's like, what's going to be here? So I think the iPad, the computers, knowing that building virtually really, really takes that anxiety down, lets everybody know what's going on, and minimizes your change orders. It's just so that's feel
Gotcha. Thanks, Chris.
Mhm.
Next question from Mahir. How do you incorporate the cost of all the software subscriptions that go into using this software while calculating ROIs?
Yeah, so that's another good question, right? And the benefit is we don't use all the softwares that we have bought to date. So when we look at a project-based license, we spread that out across our contractors, so it becomes part of the contractor's cost to build the job. So you could look at, say it's a $20,000 fee, or a $5,000 fee, or $4,000 fee to Revizto. But when you look at a $35 million job or $200 million job, and the fee for Revizto software really doesn't impact your change order rate. It'll bump it a little bit, but what we found is, I feel like if the world continues to evolve in this technology, we'll be able to buy computers that are less money. We're going to be able to transfer into this, iPad world, and you're saving money on the technology. You just don't have to buy it to build this building anymore. So, instead of buying a computer with a $2,000-$3,000 video card in it, you could work this whole solution on a construction side with a less of a money hog computer to run things. So I think the softwares are going to get minimized. I feel like you're not going to have to use as many softwares. So I think that cost should go down in the future as well. So by minimizing your softwares that you have to use. So
Interesting take, Chris.
yeah.
Any other questions from the attendees?
I appreciate everybody signing on and attending the webinar. Hopefully it was, informative. And, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I can show you how the world works. You guys, if anybody wants to sit in a coordination meeting with Revizto, we have a lot of jobs. Like I said, we have like 13 jobs going on right now. And you guys can see how it works. So the one thing I want to talk about is Revizto provides a lot of training to anybody that wants to use the software. So you don't just buy the software subscription and then you're like, oh, well, how do I train everybody how to use this? I have a whole team. And it's very focused on everybody that needs to use the software. They train in little clusters of the job staff. So, that part of somebody not being able to use the software really isn't an excuse anymore. They're using the software, they're well trained, and they can move on to the next job, trained up in the software and educate somebody else. So that's the beauty of signing up with Revizto. They do a lot to help you run your work. So I think it's it's a bonus altogether.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Chris. We have one more question from an anonymous attendee, asked, are there any future advancements planned for the clash detection issue tracker side of the software? I guess I can take this one. So the Revizto roadmap or development roadmap is fueled by requests from our clients, our customers, people that are using the tool and need more out of it, want to augment their workflows. So the short answer is yes. The full details of those future advancements and what's exactly on our roadmap, I'm not at liberty to discuss publicly. But the tool is continuously advancing, and it's definitely not in its final form today in 2024.
That's one of the best parts I like. We started through 5 years, is the transformation and the ads and all that stuff. It's just been a great success and great software to use.
Well, that's all we have for today, guys. Leaving you with our contact information if you want to reach out to Chris or myself directly. But thank you so much, Chris, for putting this together
You're welcome.
and running it for everybody today.
You got it. Thanks, Revizto team.